Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by MMA up-and-comer Shamir Garcia, as well as the CEO and president of Global Proving Ground, James Jefferson. Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
No problem. Thanks to both of you for joining me here. First, let's start with Shamir. Shamir, you got a fight coming up, I believe, this Saturday night for TXC. How's training been going for the fight?
Yes, sir. Yes, Saturday, October 19th. You know, I've been training real hard. Usually about 6-7 hour days. That's not including my run. So, as you can imagine, you know, I've been training very hard for this fight. And we got a good game plan for my opponent, and I think it's going to turn out well.
Mm-hmm. You're taking on Ryan Sheeper. Just curious, what are your thoughts about him as an opponent?
Well, you know, he's got over 50 fights, and you know that's not a big deal because if you take somebody 0 to 10 fights and compare them to somebody with about 50 plus, that experience it gives you knowledge and timing, and it makes your skill level that much better. So, you know, I've been putting hours and hours into the gym to hopefully come out, you know, victorious.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is a rare opportunity for you. Obviously, you fought a bunch in Michigan as an amateur, and also you have fought pro in Michigan, but usually we don't see too many Michigan shows pro-wise, and it's always a big deal when a Michigan guy can fight in his home state. So how much does this opportunity mean to you to fight in front of your home fans?
Well, I love it. You know, especially these days, you know, you gotta kind of travel a little bit more, whether it's out of state or out of the country. You know, when I get a fight here in Michigan, and I kind of let everybody know, you know, whether it's phone calls, texts, or Facebook, you know, kind of advertising it. You know, people go crazy about it, and when you go out there and fight, and you got hundreds and hundreds of your friends and family, people you grew up with, people you just know on a first name basis, and they cheer you on. I mean, there's no better feeling than to put on a show for those guys and hear them go crazy when you do something good out there. You know,
Definitely. Just curious, how many tickets have you sold for the event?
Actually, I got 200 tickets, and I had 2 table seats too, and I'm down to about like 7 tickets, and those are all going to be gone here soon. So Thursday, I got a bunch of people. They're going to be, you know, arm wrestling for them or something. I don't know, but they're going to be gone.
Right. Definitely. Shamir, I've been watching you fight for a very long time. First with Impact Fight League, I've seen a bunch of your title defenses when you were light heavyweight champion of that organization. Also, Genesis FC, were also champion over there. So I've seen a lot of your fights. From the end of your amateur career till now, what improvements do you think we're going to see from the last time you fought as an amateur to this fight, your third pro fight?
Well, you know, as far as when I was an amateur, you know, that was when I was learning the basics a lot more. And now when you turn pro, when you work on different things as far as, you know, timing and kind of perfecting the more high level, you know, skill maneuvers as far as kickboxing and jiu-jitsu and what have you goes, it kind of makes your basic skills, your fundamentals, very sharp. So, you know, if people seen my past fights and they said, you know, he's got good technique and good this and good that, you know, now when they see me fighting pro and see what I've been working on and see those fundamental skills really sharp, that's when people kind of go, oh, wow, you know, he's got his stuff together. And that's what I'm going for, so.
Just curious, because I've seen so many of your amateur fights, what do you think was your best performance of your amateur career?
My best performance, amateur, let's see. Well, to be honest with you, my most memorable fight, I think, was the one that was a main event at the Palace of Auburn Hills, because I think that was the very first fight that I was a main event of, and it was the clear-cut number one guy in the state.
Against Lee Tormley.
Yep. Yeah, Lee Tromley. Yep. And the clear-cut number 2 guy, which was Lee Tromley.
Yep.
And I don't know if there was any other fight where it was the undisputed number 1 and 2 going at it, you know, on the biggest stage in Michigan, you know, main event. And I forget how many people, like 15,000 people there, biggest crowd I've ever been a part of, and it was just crazy, man. I love that fight. That was awesome.
It's funny that you mentioned that fight because that's my favorite fight of yours, because I remember that fight. I think it was in either the second or third round. You landed some leg kicks, and I think they either hurt him or he checked him wrong, and that kind of wobbled him. And then when you saw that he was hurt, you immediately went in for the kill. And then I'll never forget it. After the referee had stopped the fight, you ran over to the cage side camera and said, "I'm number one, he's number two." That was one of my favorite fights. Seeing live, that was one of my favorite ones. Yep.
You know what? When you're in the heat of the moment like that, and you know how hard I was training for that fight, that was crazy. And then when you're in the heat of the moment like that and you're celebrating, that's the first thing that came out,
Yeah. That was great. And also, in your amateur career, was your only loss to Ray Lopez, or did you have another loss in there?
I had my first loss was to Ray Lopez.
Right.
And that's on YouTube for everyone to see. I like having that on YouTube, too, because it kind of keeps me humble and keeps me hungry. And hopefully someday I'll get to avenge that loss. But I have another loss, too, but that was at a catchweight fight. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember that fight. It was a triangle against Ray Lopez. But that was a long time ago. That was like, what, 2008, 2009? You're so much different from when I saw you in that fight to now. I mean, it's not even the same. So I would love to see a rematch between them.
I'll tell you what. Whenever you have a loss, sometimes it's a blessing for a fighter.
Right.
Because when you have a loss, in the back of your head, it kind of tells yourself, you know what, I'm never going to let that happen again. And that loss was kind of a big deal for me because I told myself, you know what, I'm trying not to ever let that happen again. So that's kind of what I've been going for. And so far, 5 years down the road, not another blemish. I can't complain.
Definitely. I'm just curious, how many belts do you have? Because I've seen pictures of you where you don't even have to wear any clothing and you'll still be covered up by all these belts. So I'm just curious, how many belts do you have? And obviously you fought in Muay Thai as well. So how many are mixed martial arts belts and how many are Muay Thai?
Well, I have 8. Altogether, I have 10 championship belts. 8 of them are for mixed martial arts. And one of them is a world title, of course, the Impact Fight League 205 championship. And then 2 of those are championship belts in Muay Thai tournaments that I won. One was for the Thai Boxing Association in Iowa back in 2010. And then the last one was for the International Kickboxing Federation in Orlando, Florida. And that was back last year, 2012 in July. And I also have 2 gold medals from the 2012 Arnold Classic that I won the light heavyweight gold medal, as well as the heavyweight gold medalist too. And I have a couple other medals too, but those just kind of came with fights along the road. But sometimes a promoter likes to give out a little bit of hardware for the fighters to show they got something out of it,
Definitely. Now, are you pro Muay Thai or are these amateur titles?
So all those are amateur titles. I don't have any pro titles just yet, but we're working on that. So hopefully in the next couple months or maybe a year or so, I'll have 10 more. We'll see.
But you are interested in pursuing both professional mixed martial arts and Muay Thai?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. I'm open for me personally. Honestly, I'm open for everything. When I was an amateur, I pursued boxing fights, kickboxing fights, mixed martial arts fights. Obviously, my background is going to be a little bit more mixed martial arts. So if all 3 fights come up, I'd rather take the mixed martial arts for now.
Right.
But as far as being a pro, I want to do the same thing. I'll pursue mixed martial arts, kickboxing, and boxing fights.
Now, Lion Fight Muay Thai, that's a Las Vegas-based, Muay Thai promotion, and they're doing a lot of great things. They got a TV deal with Access TV. Is that something that you're interested in? Is that something that you want to fight for Lion Fight? Is that something you've thought about at all?
As far far as fighting, professional kickboxing, I don't mind at all. The thing is, it's got to go through, Sensei Al Cooper,
right?
And he'll set that thing up. And as far as that kind of stuff goes too, that's why I have also Mr. James Jefferson and Al Cooper to kind of take care of that. And I'm glad that they're the masterminds behind it, so that way I can stay in the gym training 60, 70 hours a week and not worry about those things as much,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, you also are fighting for Global Proving Ground. I believe you made your debut for them back in June. You fought in Portugal. Is that true? Was that the date, or am I seeing something different here on your record?
Yeah, it was June 1st, and that was in Lisbon, Portugal. And I believe my opponent's name was Ezequiel Silvino.
Right.
And he was a Brazilian, and he fought me over there in the capital city of Portugal, June 1st.
Mm-hmm. Are you born in Portugal?
Me, no. I was born in Bayamón, Puerto Rico.
Oh, Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Because I was trying to
lived there till I was about 6 years old.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, because you always, I believe you come in with the two-sided flag, right? The Tito Ortiz style flag. Isn't that what you come in with, or am I just seeing things?
I used to come in with the American and then Puerto Rican flag on the back. Mm-hmm. Now I kind of separated them, so that way each one has, kind of the glory going front and back together, as one, united.
Mm-hmm. So you're born in Puerto Rico. When did you move to the United States?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was born in Bayamón. I moved here in October of 1995 when I was 6 years old. Didn't know a lick of English, and I thought I didn't know what to think of this country because I came here in October. And as you know, a lot of people decorate their houses and the stores with Halloween stuff.
Really?
We don't celebrate that in Puerto Rico. We don't celebrate that in Puerto Rico. So I remember telling my mom, I was like, "Hey, what's going on? These people are, what's going on? They got spiders everywhere and ghosts and all this stuff." And I didn't know what to think. So when I learned English and started understanding what was going on around me, it made the transition a little easier.
That's too funny, and that's perfect time, because Halloween's right around the corner, and it's funny because that was your first American experience. You probably thought you moved to some crazy land somewhere. That's
my goodness, I had no idea, man. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I didn't have any friends because I was scared of them. They had, face paint on and stuff like that. I didn't know what was going on.
Shamir, how did you start martial arts? I mean, I know that you're a true martial artist. You didn't just show up one day and say, "Hey, I want to fight in a cage somewhere." You've done martial arts for a very long time. So, how did you get started in martial arts in general, and then how did you transition over to the different arts?
Well, when I was real young, I'm talking about when I was real young, when I was still in Puerto Rico and stuff. Mm-hmm. I used to mess around boxing with my cousins and stuff out there. I have a couple cousins and friends of friends in Puerto Rico that are boxers as we speak now, and they're working their way up through the amateur and pro ranks too. But when I came here, my brother started wrestling in high school. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I was probably like in 5th, 6th grade, and he kind of got me into it. And that's when I got introduced into wrestling. I was about maybe 11 or 12 years old at the time. And I wasn't very, very good at it, but, I kind of stuck with it. I thought it was fun. And then in high school, towards my junior, senior year, I got pretty decent at it. And I ended up placing in the state tournament at the 215-pound weight class. Mm-hmm. And then shortly after that, I kind of focused more so on college and school and stuff like that, and I got into graphic design, and I was kind of falling a little bit out of shape, and I was like, man, I really need to get in shape. So, UFC was kind of big at the time, MMA, so I was like, why not do this, get back in shape? Mm-hmm. When I did that, once I started hanging with the fighters, I was like, what, let me do this. Then eventually I found Cooper's gym and got really heavy and deep into the Muay Thai. And shortly after that, started doing jiu-jitsu at Cooper's gym as well as the boxing program. And it just kind of took off from there. I kind of focused on Muay Thai more so, and then and then the grappling kind of came along and blended in with my wrestling from previous years, and I am the fighter that I am now because of Cooper's Gym.
Yeah, talk about how much Al Cooper has meant to your career, because he's a guy who flies under the radar. He's a very good coach, but he flies under the radar because there's not a whole lot of opportunity here in Michigan. We don't have the big shows here come. I mean, obviously UFC's come here, and XFC's, they're going to be in Muskegon coming up in the end of December. So there are big shows that come through, just not a lot about them. Not a whole bunch of shows come in here, and they don't have the show frequency. They don't do a bunch of them. So could you talk about your relationship with Al Cooper and how much he's meant to your career?
Sensei Cooper, he's not just a coach or a manager for me. I honestly look at him as also kind of like a father figure to me.
Right.
Me and him are very, very close. I see him every single day. I train 7 days a week, so I see him every day, and he's always on me and making sure I do what I got to do. And as far as how we've kind of grown together these last couple of years, it just comes from me just being very coachable. Any advice he has to give me, or pointers, or opinions, or tell me to do this, to improve certain things, I try to listen my best, whether I know what the outcome's what's gonna be or not. I know that he's always looking out for my best interests.
Now, do you only train at Cooper's, or are there a bunch of other different spots that you hit to get different work in, whether it be in whatever area, maybe the ground game you work somewhere else, or maybe wrestling you do somewhere else? Do you solely work at Cooper's, or do you hop around to a couple different spots?
Well, my main spot is the dojo on the west side of Detroit. Cooper's Gym.
Right.
But there's also a couple other facilities that we go to. We have two more facilities. One that's kind of matted walls and matted whole floor and weight room, and it's really, really big and nice. And that's kind of like my grappling cave right there.
Right.
You don't have to worry about bumping into walls. You don't have to worry about pipes or this, and that. You just grapple freely anywhere you want to. And then we have another facility and on the east side, and then that's kind of like where I have all my toys at, all my equipment, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's speed bag, different kind of things to work on separately from everything else, And we have a couple of kind of brother and sister gyms that we go to here and there from time to time that I get some training in with different people, so that way my style doesn't turn into how do I beat my teammate. You understand? It kind of turns into what works overall, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also, Mr. Dan Severn, I head over to the Michigan sports camps quite often. I go over there and wrestle with his guys and spar with his guys and do some training in there too. And he gives me a lot of pointers that has over the years helped out a lot. So, Dan Severn is definitely a big influence on my style as well.
For the people who maybe have never seen you fight before, or on October 19th will be the first time they're exposed to you, how would you describe your fighting style?
If I had to put a kind of like a category on my fighting style, it's kind of like a mixture between a Wolverine and a shark. Because a Wolverine is Wolverine. If you look at Wolverine, he's real ferocious and he'll always come at you, but he's not always just trying to go crazy at you. He's looking to take you out and just walk away. Okay, and then also like a shark, as soon as you start bleeding in that water, that shark's going to come after you, and you're going to be lunched for that day. So that's kind of how I view it. As soon as I see a weakness, I want to go after it until I'm blue in the face, and I get my hand raised, and that's kind of what I go for. And so far, it's been working out pretty good. My last 3 fights have all been KOs, and it must be, if it's not broken, don't fix it, So right now, I'm just going to keep trying to build on that and give the fans a KO, tell them something show them something that they'll never forget, that they'll be talking about next year, 5 years, 10 years from now. Hey, man, you remember October 19th? Yeah, I remember when Shamir knocked that guy out. He did something crazy, you know. So that's kind of what I'm going for. People still, from this day, talk about my May 18th and then that September show last year where I knocked the guy out with a back fist. You know, they still talk about that. So, you know, if I could give them one more highlight to talk about for the rest of their lives, you know, why not? And then just kind of go from there over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Victor Jones, you knocked him out with a spinning back fist. What a way to end your amateur career. You really put an exclamation mark on that. That was a beautiful KO. You must have been on top of the world. You know, that was your last amateur fight. You knew you were going pro after that. It must have felt great to cap off an amazing amateur career with an amazing moment like that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you say it was with an exclamation point, it was in all caps and everything, man. That was nuts. And you know, I can not think of a better way to end my career as far as amateur goes with a flashy knockout like that. You know, that was fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Shamir, I'm just curious, how did you get your nickname Bam Bam?
Bam Bam. You know, there's a lot of nicknames that were thrown around for as far as my fighting name was going to be, but you know, it's funny. You know who gave me that nickname was my mother.
Really?
And the way I got that nickname is when I was a baby. You know, obviously, you know, your parents buy you toys, little things that you can mess around with when you're a baby. And when I was a baby, I used to take all those toys and I used to break them.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go bam, bam, and smash them all over the place and rip them apart and throw them all over the place. And I don't think I saw anything that was breakable until I was maybe like 10 years old, because when I was a kid, I used to break all my toys, all my WWF toys. If they gave me a plate or something, I'd try to break it somehow. I don't know. I don't know how my parents know with me, but I'm glad they did. So my mom and everybody in my family used to call me Bam Bam because I broke everything. And as far as fighting goes, I try to break my opponents, whether it's break their will or, you know, if it comes to it, break a bone or two, or break this or break that, or break their win streak. Who knows? But that's where Bam Bam came about, my mom. So.
Now let's bring in James for a minute. James, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
James, your promotion, Global Proving Ground, I'm just curious. I have a couple questions for you on this organization. First and foremost, you know, how did this all form? You know, could you give us the recipe that went into making your promotion?
Yeah, Global Proving Ground isn't a promotion. We're a worldwide league like the NFL. Mm-hmm. We actually license promotions around the world, meaning that each promotion gets the benefit of an overseeing league that can help them with their TV production, their license, their branding, their ticket sales, everything from soup to nuts on how to run their promotion. So right now we have 6 promoter partners around the world, and we're adding more promoter partners. This way it's no one competing against the UFC. It's actually creating a true global proving ground for fighters on the way up to the UFC, or after fighters are done at the UFC, come back to a family and of promotions around the world. Global Proving Ground was formed by the same people that built the original UFC, including Dan Severn, Helston Gracie, Ron Van Cleef, etc. And we formed this on the true basis of the true spirit of martial arts, with honor, respect, and the spirit of martial arts back into mixed martial arts. Mm-hmm. And all the information is right at globalprovingground.com. We're about in our first year of operation, where the UFC was in year 8. Mm-hmm. We have over 510 fighters in 27 countries. And we're doing very, very well. We have a TV contract to 120 million homes. And one of our flagship athletes is Shamir Bam Bam Garcia, and that's why we're here today to support him. Mm-hmm. And people better get out and get those tickets, because no one sells tickets like Bam Bam.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just curious, you know, I know because I've seen him fight for a very long time, but what was it about Shamir that, you know, drew him to you? You know, what was it about him that caught your eye, and why did you decide to bring him aboard?
Well, when we held our casting call at the Coldwater camp, Michigan sports camp,
right.
Dan Severn's camp, I got there early to set up for all the fighters. Dan said there'd be about 75 fighters trying out for the Warrior Island docuseries. Shamir actually got there earlier with one of his training partners, helped set up, helped take care of everyone, helped us run the whole event, and he wasn't even working there. He just showed right away the spirit of the kind of martial artist he is, the person he is, and then obviously with his skill set, it's pretty easy for a Ron Van Cleef or a Renzo Gracie to recognize a future star. And it starts with character, it starts with work ethic, and as we've discussed and Shamir mentioned earlier, the true spirit of what a martial arts artist is. And I noticed right away in Shamir and along the way of him being cultivated by an amazing coach and Sensei Cooper, that he's the kind of fighter that we want to put our brand on and help his career get to where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, James, your promotion, have you guys done any solo promotions, like where you guys put on the fights, or has it been basically kind of your model where you put it together with these other promoters and then they produce the fights? Could you explain, have you done solo shows by yourself, or have they kind of all been...
Our business model is to never do a solo show. We felt there was way too many promotions out there, all different levels, from beginner to regional promotions to obviously the UFCs and the Bellators of the world. We didn't want to create another promotion that would be diluting the field. What we wanted to do is bring in a crack team of anywhere between 20 to 30 professionals onto an existing card and actually help them with television production, with managing the fights, with promoting the fights, with helping the fighters. Everything. Give you an example. Our COO is Steve Tornabini. Steve Tornabini built the entire infrastructure of the pay-per-view of the UFC. He also built HDNet fights for Mark Cuban. This is our COO. So everyone within our organization has had their thumbprint on the explosion and the growth of the fastest-growing sport in the world, mixed martial arts. So instead of building a promotion that's going to dilute the waters or think that it's going to compete with the UFC, which no one ever will, we want to help all the other promotions that want to work with us in our league and help them have better quality shows. Not that they don't put on good shows, but give them more power in public relations, in branding, licensing, television, quality of fighters. So it's kind of just, putting a better set of rims on your car. That's what we do. We come in and we increase your brand.
Now, when you're recruiting an organization to be a part of your umbrella, what are you looking for? Are you looking for that group of guys who maybe they don't have the contacts to get on to a network and link up and get better fighters? Are you looking for an organization that is on a downside? They have a good product, but for whatever reason they're not making money. Are you looking for an organization that's a startup and is trying to just make a mark in the sport? What exactly are you looking for when you add an organization to your umbrella?
Most importantly, when we look for an organization, they need to have a very high level of ethics. It's a shame, but in the world of mixed martial arts, you have a lot of criminals, you have a lot of liars, you have a lot of cheats, and there's even promotions out there that don't even pay their fighters or their staff.
Right.
So that's going to be first and foremost. You have to have very good ethics. We're based on the foundation of mixed martial arts and martial arts, so we want to make sure that it's all about honor and respect first. We have promotions that are startups, but then we have, our partner UCMMA in London is the number one promotion in all of the UK, and that's one of our partners. We just had our second event with them last Saturday. It was a sellout at the Troxy, and we were our third event. We're going to do 4 events with them in 2014. They're one of the most successful promotions in the world. They're probably in the top 5, and they're one of our licensed partners, and we're going to be doing our third event with them. So it could be a brand new startup, like we're working with a new organization out of Texas, and they've never had an event. So they're going to have, a real global proving ground infused event coming up in January. So it could be a startup, someone who just needs all the help and support we can give, or it could be an established regional or national brand that already has everything but just wants our TV contract and our expertise in television production.
Now, are these all pro organizations, or do you have some amateur organizations as well?
We only broadcast in our syndication contract pro events, but we do support amateur fighters. We have about 30 amateur fighters, and we do support amateur events. One of our board of directors is, the president of the WKA, so we want to support all the amateur events. Like up in New York right now, there's a lot of amateur MMA events happening.
Now, acquiring talent, is it mostly through tryouts, or is it fighters coming to you? How do you get the fighters to fight under your umbrella?
Well, the entire system is based on social networking and YouTube. Fighters have to upload a tryout video of their skills, who they are, why fans should get behind them as a martial artist. And once they send us the video or upload it to YouTube themselves, then we start to help cultivate their career, whether it's a beginner or an advanced athlete. Mm-hmm. Everything's based on a video platform because the whole world's moving to the internet, smart devices, smartphones, tablets, etc. And that's why we build it off of that platform. So you can really, people can talk a good game. Sometimes people get lucky in a fight, but when you put a video up of all your highlights and who you are as a person, it gives people a little better idea who you are.
Mm-hmm. Now, James, what exactly is Warrior Island?
Warrior Island is a brand new docu-series. We've been working on it for about a year. Shamir tried it about a year ago. The fans actually voted on the top 16 and 4 ultimate fighters that are going to go to the Warrior Island docu-series. And it's going to be filmed in the spirit of what, like the Pacquiao and stuff on HBO, the 24/7, excuse me, where we're going to be really following the fighter's journey to the island, which will be a secret island where these fighters will train traditional martial arts and mixed martial arts with Helson Gracie, Renzo Gracie, Dan Severn, Ron Van Cleet, Sifu Chow, and other coaches from the world of martial arts. Mm-hmm. And it'll be back to old school, like Bloodsport, where you have traditional martial arts, different forms against different forms, and it'll all be in a docu-series. Mm-hmm. And right now we're in our final round of funding, and once that gets done, we'll be doing 3 or 4 seasons in a row every 6 months, like the TV show Survivor, mm-hmm. but in a docu-series style, more like NFL Hard Knocks, really right. Know the people.
Mm-hmm. So it's not going to be a clone of The Ultimate Fighter. It's not going to be 2 teams, 8 guys, 1 man survives. It's going to be more of, let's get invested into who these fighters are and let's follow them on this journey as they try to make it in the sport.
Exactly. And the reason is we want our fighters to end up in the UFC.
Right.
So, the UFC wants fighters that are not only good quality fighters, but have a huge social network following so they can sell pay-per-view tickets.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And where is it going to air exactly, or is that still being all worked out?
Well, we already have a contract with Comcast, DirecTV, and Dish on Sportsnet, Tough TV, Root Sports through the UFA network, which is our syndication company, but it's not exclusive. Any major network can buy this from us, and we are negotiating some different ones now. Mm-hmm. But we own all the content. We own the whole company.
Mm-hmm. I think you mentioned it earlier, but I'm not sure. How many more shows will the organizations that you have under your umbrella, how many more shows will they be putting on this year?
This year, about 6, and next year, 40.
40, really?
Yes.
And how many more shows are you looking to add? Is it a specific number you're looking for, or just anybody who fits your criteria?
We'd like to have a show every single weekend. So 52 weekends, so 52 shows a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how different is your model from Access TV? Is it not even in the same ballpark, or do you kind of have the same model as them? Because they like to bring in shows and then just give them they cut the production costs for running the TV part of it. They don't really give them any money. They just cancel out the production cost of putting a live event on TV. How different is your model from that? Is there any similarities?
I actually was on the phone with Guy Metzger the other day, who used to be the president.
Right.
Of Access TV. Access TV is one of the companies we're talking about actually having our fights on. Mm-hmm. They're just a television network.
Right.
We're more of a licensing company, like I said, like the NFL. We do everything from branding to products to legal to accounting. We handle everything. Mm-hmm. So when you think of GPG, think of the NFL, because our business model is very similar, but in a different industry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, how much of your business model have you accomplished? When you started this, when this was in your head, this idea of putting together the organization that you have now, how far along are we to the eventual goal, like the big picture of what you had in mind when you started this? How far into it? If we're looking at a scale of 0 to 10, 0 is when it was an idea, and 10 is the idea that you had. What would you say we're at right now, 1 to 10 of this vision?
We've evolved and grown laterally,
right.
But we're at least a solid 8 right now. Mm-hmm. Once the next funding comes in, we'll be at a 10, because then we'll have all the operational funds we need to do what we need to do. But all the infrastructure is already built. All the departments, we're going through a major website design at globalprovingground.com right now. If you go to the website, you can actually see the growth of our social network in less than a year. Our Facebook hit 30,000, and we have 150,000 people a month on our website.
Mm-hmm. Are you more in the market for the up-and-coming guy, the guy who maybe has a couple pro fights but doesn't really have the big brand, doesn't really have the big show experience? Are you more looking for that guy, or are you open to having, guys who have once been to a big show, maybe a UFC, Bellator, Strikeforce, whatever, and maybe fallen on hard times and try to build them back up? Is it more for the up-and-coming guy, or is the model also work for the guy who's trying to rebuild and get back to the big show?
The model is built so that it not only helps the young fighter on the way up, but when their career is maybe done at the UFC, excuse me, I got a little cold. There we go, I'm better.
Okay.
The model is built so that we help the fighters on the way up, or fighters that are no longer with a large organization. Because not only do we want a fighter to succeed in their prime, but we also want to help a fighter develop a family or someplace to be as they're later in their career, all the way to the point where they get involved with our child safety anti-bully program, where they actually have their own school and their own program in their community, working with the schools as the bullies, helping with this epidemic we have in the country right now. And that's part of our anti-bully child safety program. So we'll take fighters from 17 years old all the way through their career. When their career's done, then they're involved in the company with these other programs that we have. So it's not just chewing someone up, getting a couple great fights out of them, and then get rid of them. We want to have someone with a whole career with us.
Mm-hmm. With so many organizations under your umbrella, is eventually a goal to pit all of the top guys from every organization against each other, or is it just kind of build them up in the whatever league they're in and then send them to a big show? Is there like a bigger kind of Super Bowl type thing in the works, or is it just kind of build the guys up to get them to a big show and not really trying to make super fights or whatever between the different organizations? Is that a plan at all, or is it just to get guys to a big show?
Yeah, all week we've been developing our championship belts for 2014. Mm-hmm. We'll be having continent versus continent.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
Yep. So, Europe will be fighting North America, South America. Like I said, we have fighters in 27 countries. So if you go to globalprovingground.com and click on the YouTube link, you can actually go by continent and see all the fighters.
Oh, I see. Shamir, you still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shamir, let's get back to your fight that you got coming up October 19th for TXC Legends 2. You're taking on Ryan Sheeper. Where do you feel that you have the advantage in this fight? And also, what is something that, I don't want to say worries you, but what is something about his game that you need to be aware of when fighting him?
Well, something that I need to be aware of for sure is that height. And he's 6'4". And so that means his striking range is that much more larger than mine. I'm about 5'11", so he's gonna try to use that reach. So as long as I stay close on him, I think I'll be all right. And plus, I have a couple strikes that I can do a little bit from long range too. But I'm not looking to depend on those. I'm looking to take the fight where I want it to be, and that's in close or on the ground or what have you. As long as we're in tight, I feel like I think I have the advantage. As far as anywhere that I think I'll be in trouble, I think I'm pretty well rounded, and for every situation, I have about maybe 2 or 3 maneuvers that can get me out of sticky stuff. So, I feel like I'm pretty well prepared for anything that he throws at me. Mm-hmm. I feel pretty confident.
With him having well over 50 fights, how much footage have you seen on him?
Well, I checked out a lot of videos on YouTube, but the only problem with that is, me personally, I've seen guys that overstudy their opponents.
Right.
So instead of seeing what they're good at and what they're not good at, they see what they do. They see something they've done successful one time in one fight, and they see it over and over and over again. And what happens then is that the fighter gets paranoid and is always looking for that move, and then before you know it, they get caught with something else. Mm-hmm. So me, personally, I looked at all those videos maybe twice, maybe 3 times, and then that's it. I put it in the back burner. Mm-hmm. So I see what he has tendencies, I see what he feels comfortable at, but at the same time, most of those fights are over 4 to 5, 6 years ago. So I can't really depend on that. I can just see what gets him in trouble and what he's comfortable at, and just kind of go from there.
Mm-hmm. You fight at 205 pounds. Ryan Sheeper, he's fought a lot of his career at 185. Just curious, is this fight going to be at 205, or is it going to be some sort of catch weight?
Well, it's scheduled to be 205. I don't know what weight he's coming in, but I plan on coming in at 205, maybe a little bit under. But I'm not sure what weight he's at right now. But as long as he's under 205, we're good to go.
Mm-hmm. Just curious, do you plan on fighting the remainder of your career at 205, or do you ever see a time where you'll drop down to 185? Because you've walked under the 205 limit for fights before. You've been 202, 203 on weigh-in day. Do you ever see a time where you might give middleweight a try?
You know what's funny about that is that I'm not very good at cutting weight. Mm-hmm. I might be a couple pounds over, and I'm like, oh, dang, let me go for a run or something. Next thing you know, I'm 5 pounds under.
Right.
So as far as fighting 205, I'll fight 205 anytime, I don't mind. And 85, if good opportunities come up where everything lines up and everything seems like it's going to help me move forward, I don't mind fighting at 185 either.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, I took a look at your record that they have for you on mixedmartialarts.com, and it says that you have a fight coming up after this one. You will also be fighting in November for TWC at the Pro Series show Final Cut. Is that true? Do you have another fight scheduled after this Sheeper fight?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question too clear with a little bit of noise.
Oh, sorry about that. November, according to your record on mixedmartialarts.com, you have a fight scheduled for November. It's going to be for TWC. Is that true? Do you have a fight scheduled after this Ryan Sheeper fight?
Honestly, Sensei Cooper, he works very methodical as far as it comes to planning out fights and having things in order way in advance. So as far as I'm concerned, he tells me, Shamir, look, you got to fight October 19th versus Ryan Sheeper from Iowa, and leaves it at that. So that's all I'm really focused on. I think he might have mentioned something for November. So, we're going to get back into training right after this fight to be getting ready for something in November. But me, honestly, I don't really know the details because right now I'm just focused on Saturday, do what I got to do, and then kind of go from there.
It's very interesting that you said that Al Cooper just comes in and says, hey, you're fighting on this date, here's the guy. Because a lot of times we hear fighters, they say that they got called by the promoter, so you don't even deal with that stuff. You just leave it all up to him?
Not at all. That's why, our fighter, coach, mentor, father relationship between me and Sensei Cooper is honestly, I don't ask any questions. He kind of takes care of that end, and that way I can sit back and just focus on training, keeping my cardio up, eating healthy, staying healthy, staying out of trouble. So he kind of focuses on that, so that way I can focus on my skill. And like I said before, if it's not broken, don't fix it. And I think it's worked out pretty well so far.
Mm-hmm. This Ryan Sheeper fight is going to be your third fight of this year, and then if you fight in November, that'll make it 4 fights on the year. Is that a good number of fights in a year, 4, or would you like to have had, or going into 2014, would you like a little bit more than 4?
Well, honestly, I as long as it keeps me moving forward. And obviously, with being professional, it has to be approved by the state and the athletic commission, and so on and so forth. And contracts have to go through, and this, and that. Me personally, I don't mind however many fights I can get in. If I can fight once a month, I wouldn't mind. I don't know if you followed me very early when I first started in my career, but my first 6 months, I believe I had 8 fights.
Oh.
So there was a couple that I took 2 weeks out. So me personally, I don't mind fighting back to back at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Shamir, on October 19th, how do you defeat Ryan Sheeper?
What was that, sir?
On October 19th, how do you defeat Ryan Sheeper?
How do I defeat Ryan Sheeper? Honestly, I'm just going to be like a shark. I'm gonna do what I do, set up the things that I've been working on, and as soon as I see that weakness, I'm just gonna attack. As soon as I see him bleeding, like a shark in the water, I'm just gonna go after him. That's what I plan on doing.
Mm-hmm. James, real quick before I let you guys go, first we'll start with you. Where can people go to keep up with everything that you and your organization have going on?
Real simple. They go to globalprovingground.com, click on the other button, You get all of our social network, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everything. And there's like 10 different social networks there. We have a GPG Live, which actually has links for tickets and live events. Everyone get their tickets for Shamir Garcia this weekend. It's going to be amazing. No one sells tickets like he does. I mean, if promoters could get fighters to sell 100 to 200 tickets, they'd be doing very well. So go to globalprovingground.com, and then you'll see all the social network there, and sign up for our free newsletter. But we're always there with information for all the fans. We our tagline is Global Proving Ground. The fans have a voice, and where great warriors are discovered.
Mm-hmm. Shamir, before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Oh, absolutely. I want to thank, first and foremost, obviously, would be Sensei Cooper and Cooper's Gym and the family out there that are so close to me. They see me train every day and train with me and learn from me and see what I go through to get ready for these fights. So they're right there with me, And then second, I want to thank Global Proving Ground and Mr. James Jefferson for always having my back and helping me get through this journey on my way to the top. And, obviously my friends and family and everybody that's coming out to see me fight. If you need tickets, there's a couple left. If you want to reach me, Shamir Bam Bam Garcia on Facebook, on Instagram. It's also Shamir Bam Bam Garcia, and then also on Twitter at GPG Shamir Garcia. And I'm the kind of person that I'm the people's champion. They can talk to me. Anybody can talk to me anytime, and I'll reach out to you if I have the time. And we just kind of go from there. And I'm just ready for Saturday. I can't wait. I don't know about you, but I can't wait.
Shamir, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. And James, same to you. I appreciate your time, and good luck to both of you. Continued success, and I look forward to talking to you both in the future.
Honored to be on your show.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us. I really appreciate it.